Welcome to another edition of Hardcap. I'm Brian Jones here with Open correspondent Zach Smith. We saw a lot of exciting games today. Let's go through the pools, Zach. Let's start with Pool A. It featured Ironside, Furious George, Rhino, and Boost Mobile.
I think, like everyone thought, Ironside handled the business. They were able to come out against Rhino, win 15-6, take care of business against Boost Mobile, and then finish out the day by finishing on Furious George. Game was tight in the beginning, but Ironside went relatively unchallenged during the day. The real story was Furious George, Rhino. That game was really exciting to watch. It happened at the windiest point of the day. Rhino ended up edging out Furious George to take a universe point win and almost blew their chance at power pools, but ended up edging out Boost Mobile. And now they're in power pools with Ironside, and Furious is dropped with Boost Mobile.
Yeah, and the real story there, too, is, as you said, Rhino coming out with those universe point wins. And the player we have to point to is Seth Wiggins. Absolutely. He had an incredible day. Guy playing with a broken right thumb, had his cast on almost the entire time. Still, though, so many goals in that game against Furious, catching the winning point as well, and then catching the winning point again in Boost. And that's the reason why Rhino is moving on to power pools. Let's take a look at Pool B. Pool B featuring Revolver, Machine, Ring of Fire, also Madison Club there at the bottom. Tell me what you saw of them today.
Well, just like Ironside, Revolver took care of business. Bart Watson was here, but he was participating mainly on the defensive line. Ashland Joyce stayed in his spot on the offensive line. And then we saw some moving about. The 4-seed Madison Club unfortunately went winless, but we did see Ring of Fire taking on Machine in a very exciting game. Ring of Fire upset Machine with a 2-point win, 16-14. They'll be going to power pools with Revolver.
That's almost an expected upset we were going to see. Ring of Fire had such a terrible Labor Day that they actually ended up underseeded, we felt, coming into this tournament. Ring of Fire, though, actually won over Machine at Labor Day pretty handily, even though they had a short squad. So Ring of Fire moving on is not too surprising. It was a rather close game. And as you said, Revolver is looking great. We all expected Ashland Joy to resume his spot in the D-line like last year and let Bart Watson come in offense. We're still not sure of how Bart Watson is going to fit in. I've talked to them today, him and Robbie Cahill, and he told me it's up to the coach, Alexander Gesquire, to see what's actually going to happen. Don't bet on Bart Watson sitting out some important points for Revolver. He's going to be on the field when it matters most. But let's move on to Pool C. That was an exciting pool. Everything was upside down in that one. We have Sockeye, Chain Lightning, Sub-Zero, and Toronto Goat there. And I think almost everybody finished out of order, except for the number 1 seed did hold on at the end.
Yeah, it ended up being Sockeye was the 1. The 4 who started off Toronto Goat ended up finishing 2. Chain Lightning took 3rd, and Sub-Zero took 4th. We knew coming into this event that Pool C was going to be the pool of death, with only 3 out of the 4 teams ending up having a chance to advance to at least pre-quarters. Sockeye and Chain Lightning, the 1 and 2 seed, actually fell. Both of them fell in the first round. Chain Lightning losing to Goat in big fashion, and Sub-Zero being able to come out against Sockeye and win. And then Sockeye was able to come out, take it to Goat, and then finish off on the showcase field against Chain Lightning. And Goat was able to take care of Sub-Zero and come out on top. So it's a 1-2. Those 2 teams are in the power pools, and we see Sub-Zero and Chain Lightning in elimination pools.
It's pretty shocking to see Chain Lightning drop down to the elimination pools and drop down those lower pools. That game against Goat, what was the difference in that game? I know you saw a lot of that and was commentary with our own G. Boonar Corsi as well.
Well, Chain Lightning hasn't really clicked all season long, and I was actually talking to a bunch of people about it, and they said with a team with that much talent, you usually don't say, oh, when they start clicking, they're going to be really strong. It was actually Kyle Weisbrod who said that. It's just Chain has all the pieces, they have all this talent. It's just something doesn't seem right with them. Goat, they used every chance that Chain gave them to get breaks. The move of Anatoly Vasilyev and Adrian Yearwood to defensive line from the offensive line has made Goat such a stronger team. When they get the turns, they punch it in almost every single time. And they didn't lose firepower on offense. They gained Sebastian Sprung, and they just look very, very strong this season.
Sebastian Sprung coming over from Sweden was a huge reason why Sweden made it to the semifinals in Worlds. We also see Justin Ford coming over from Great Britain. But we expected this out of Go. We saw them at Northeast Regionals, and we saw how potent of a combination Adrian Yearwood and Antonio Vasilyev can be when it comes down to it. Those handlers have just been playing excellent. But let's look at Pool D, the last pool of the day, and it features 2 top teams that were in the same region, Double Wide and Johnny Bravo. Under that, we had Truck Stop and Pony, Pride of New York. What did we see there today?
Well, this was this the only pool to go to seed? I believe it was the only pool to go to seed. Double Wide eventually held on against Bravo and won 15-12, I believe. Pony lost to Truck Stop in the last game of the day. It was an exciting pool, but Double Wide just seemed to have that edge over Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was right there, and Double Wide just turned it on late. And what was really impressive was everyone knows the big names on Double Wide, but it was a youngster, a couple of young players on Double Wide who ended up getting big Ds late in the game that really separated. So watch out for Double Wide's depth late in the tournament.
Double Wide has been playing well all season long, even with the injuries to Kirk Gibson. He was back today, though. He had an amazing grab where he scraped the sky. Great late against Johnny Bravo, so he'll be ready to go. Brody Smith also limited in action. He's a big name that we're also wondering about. In the bottom part of that pool, we saw Pony give everybody a game, but just still couldn't pull out a win, and that's been the story for them all season, and they're going to be heading to the lower pools. Truck Stop had a game going with Johnny Bravo, just couldn't finish the job later on, so Truck Stop will also go into the lower pools, but they might be a team that we could see coming out. Speaking of, let's look at day 2 now. We talked about teams going to power pools and lower pools. In the first power pool, we're going to have Ironside, Sockeye, Goat, as well as Rhino now after their Universe Point win over Boost. What do you expect to see out of those matchups tomorrow?
Well, realistically, I'm very worried about Rhino. They played so many of their guys. They played so few of their guys so often. The game against Furious George, during their 6-point run and even later on, they were playing 6, maybe 8 guys, 7, maybe 9 guys deep throughout all those points, and they did the exact same thing in the Boost Mobile game. So many of those guys like Chase Sparling Beckley, Mario O'Brien, Dylan Freechild were playing so many points. I'm really concerned about their energy level late tomorrow and then further on. You got to wonder if they're going to maybe take one of these pool play games off tomorrow in preparation for trying to fight to stay out of that pre-quarters game.
I myself am looking at Sockeye. They're a team that they started off today with a big loss to Sub-Zero, but they came out and they played strong against Goat and Chain Lightning, and they're definitely a team that likes to win. They play a lot of zone, so we'll see if they can handle Ironside. Earlier this year, they were not able to do so ECC. Looking at Power Pool B, which is going to have a lot of the big competition, the big guns, Revolver, Double Wide, Johnny Bravo. Those are the 3 we expect to move on. Ring of Fire is kind of in the bottom there. Does Ring of Fire have a chance?
I don't know. Realistically, the only team that Ring of Fire probably has a chance against is Johnny Bravo. Double Wide and Revolver just seem Revolver seems so far above everyone again. Double Wide is looking strong late in games, but Johnny Bravo doesn't seem to. They haven't seemed to click yet. It could be because of this wind, but Ring of Fire just seems kind of. They're going to have a great game to take on one of those teams.
Real quickly, who you got winning both power pools?
I'm going to go with the top 2 seeds. Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Ironside and Revolver.
I also have Ironside and Revolver. Thanks, Zach Smith. I'm Brian Jones, Sky Magazine. This wraps up another edition of Hardcap here in Sarasota, Florida.